Hey guys, it's Larry here. I just wanted to take a second to dedicate this week's episode to Mike Analog Man Piera. He's been a friend of mine and a friend of the show for the last several years. And unfortunately, over the weekend, his wife succumbed to a long battle with cancer. So Mike, buddy, you're in our thoughts. We love you. And this one's for you.
What's happening, roadies? This is Brian Spicer.
This is Pierce Scott.
What's happening, roadies? This is Charles Twilling, and you're listening to Roadie Free Radio.
What's up, roadies? My name is Larry Milburn, and this is Roadie Free Radio, your VIP pass to meet and greet the stars behind the scenes of the music and film business. All right, what's happening, roadies? Welcome back to another week, another fantastic episode of Roadie Free Radio. This is episode 119. This is Larry Milburn talking to you on the mic. My guest this week is tour manager, front of house, club owner, sound engineer, whatever you got. This guy's done it. Mr. Charles Twilling is our guest this week. I'm super excited to jump in. No, I'm not coming at you from the barn today. I'm actually coming at you from my kitchen. Snow day here at the old Roadie Free Radio compound. The boy child is downstairs watching Toy Story. No, he's already watched Toy Story. Now he's on the Polar Express, just jamming him up with TV today so I can get the show done. The wife's away. I'm manning the fort, manning the ship, and we're going to get it done. Listen, you guys, I want to thank you for tuning in. Check this out. So last week's guest was Heather Bay, monitor engineer, fantastic young woman coming at us from the Westbury Theater, the space at Westbury Theater, excuse me. I talked about the fact, and she talked about it in the show, she really wants to get a road gig, and guess what? 2 days after being on the podcast, boom, she got herself her first road tour. Fantastic. Clapping it up for you, Heather. We are super proud of you. Get out there and learn it. Learn the skills of the road, man. Also wanted to give a shout out to Andrew Ratcliffe of Tweed Recording. Was a guest on the show several months back from Oxford, Mississippi. Pulled up stakes, has reopened Tweed Recording in Georgia. So check out tweedrecording.com. Look up Andrew Ratcliffe. Great dude. They are making progress, and they are taking applications for their fall courses right now. So check that out. Good job, Andrew. We're super psyched for you. Listen, if you guys are looking for a fantastic movie that just came out, I saw some chatter about it. My wife and I watched it a couple nights ago. The Fire Festival, that was the shit show of a festival a couple years ago down in the Bahamas. There's a documentary that came out about it, and the douchies that ran this thing into the ground. Old Billy, I don't even know his last name. Who cares? Billy Douche. Very entertaining. We watched the one on Netflix. Haven't gotten to the Hulu one yet. Going to try to check that out. I hear conflicting stories. Is the Netflix one better than the Hulu one? You guys weigh in. Let me know. info@roadiefreeradio.com. But man, I'll tell you, if you want to see a festival start out with high hopes and go right down the toilet, the Fire Festival was the one to do it. How was TourLink Pro, people? I haven't seen a lot of info about it. Was it good? Did anybody go? Did anyone take pictures for me? Anyone get any good guests for me? I want to know. Oh, but man, we are getting ready for NAMM, Anaheim. Woo! This weekend, 24th through 27th of January, everybody's descending on Anaheim, California, folks, for the NAMM show. There's going to be parties, there's going to be after parties, and there's going to be parties after the after parties, and a lot of guitars, and I wish I was going, but I can't make it this time. So please hit me up from that. Send some photos. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what the cool new gear is. I want to know. And then hopefully I'll see you at the Summer NAMM show. This weekend, if anyone's going to be around, if you're not going to the Winter NAMM in Anaheim and you want to brave the cold, why don't you come on down to the Brooklyn Bowl? I will be filming my friends in the Weight Band, Jim Weeder and Mike Brahms band called the Weight Band, doing a show at the Brooklyn Bowl Saturday night, the 26th. I'm super excited, not only to hook back up with those guys, but to get some phenomenal shots of them, put together another little video, one of my little tour promos for them. They got a lot of good shows coming up. If you guys don't know who the Weight Band is, pretty much made up of folks that have either played with Levon, played in the band, played in the Midnight Ramble band, had something to do with that world up in Woodstock, and they go out and recreate these amazing, timeless classics of Levon and Robbie Robertson and Rick Danko and Richard Emanuel, all these guys. So head out, come see me. If you're going to go, hit me up, info@roadiefreeradio.com. Give me a shout. We'll do a little howdy doody, high five, and I think I'm going to line up some interviews while I'm in town as well. So that'll be kind of cool. Put out our new video on YouTube. We're back on the channel. I've found my focus of what the YouTube channel is going to be. I talk about it in the new video, and it's called Doing It for the Love. Do it for the love in 2019. As you all know, I had Henny the Business on the show a few weeks back, the New Year's episode, and he helped straighten me out, get my focus back for YouTube and what I was going to use that platform for. And in a nutshell, I went into it with YouTube and I thought, well, it'll be like the show version of the podcast. And that was just a dumbass idea. That didn't work out so well. And I just didn't know what the hell I was doing. Refocused it. And basically the YouTube channel, guys, is going to be where I do videos on filmmaking, podcasting, and life wisdom that balances out all of that creativity. So maybe one week there'll be a video on my camera gear and how I use it. The next week will be, 3 microphones under $100 that you can podcast with, or, how I book a guest, or, any just fun behind the scenes things like that. So if you haven't subscribed already over on YouTube, go check that out. Also, guys, once again, we are sponsored today by Stage Hands Clothing. Doing it in Chicago. This is a husband and wife team, okay? They've created the one-stop shop for backstage professionals who are always working hard behind the scenes and count on high-quality, durable workwear. They carry everything from men's and women's apparel and plenty of super cool gear to keep you ready for the next task. Use that code ROADIE, you get yourself 20% off your entire order. You might need a nice heavy-duty pair of pants since it's cold out there when you're loading out or loading in. Maybe a nice heavy-duty sweatshirt. Something to keep you warm, guys. It's freezing out there. So do yourself a favor. Head over to stagehandsclothing.com. Use the code ROADIE, get yourself 20% off. Every little bit helps this guy and his podcast. All right, guys, so today's guest is Charles Twilling. He has spent the last 25 plus years in the industry as a tour manager, production manager, stage manager, venue owner, systems tech, you name it, he's done it. He's currently out with Beats Antique, the Teskey Brothers. He's been with Jackie Greene, the Mother Hips, the Motet, John Mayer, you name it, he's done it, folks. He's got a phenomenal work ethic. He's got a particular thing about zero tolerance, okay? Doesn't take any shit on the road. He expects no racism, no sexism, no bullying, no bullshit of any kind. Runs a clean show, runs a clean tour. I like it. No, I know, in all seriousness, that is phenomenal stuff. He's a great guy. Really, really psyched I got him on the show. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to share this interview with you guys right now. So please, kick back, relax, enjoy, snuggle up in your bunk, wherever you happen to be right now. Pour yourself a cold beer, roll them if you got them, know what I'm saying? And let's learn a few things about life with Mr. Charles Twilling. Hit it!
Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie. Call yourself a roadie.
Charles, dude, how are you? What's going on?
Chilling here in Colorado. Just outside of Red Rocks. Fortunately, there's no snow out there, which is nice. I'm a California boy living in Colorado who hates snow. So getting ready for summer tours. Nice. I got looking at routing for. I actually have a band coming in from Melbourne, Australia, called the Teskey Brothers.
Cool.
Who are really blowing up and doing well. So looking at some of the festival spots that we can finally announce for summer tour, which is nice. Bottle Rock and Bonnaroo, which will be their first time seeing Fish because there's no jam band.
I just saw that. I just saw that Fish is headlining.
Fish and Childish Gambino. I'm stoked to see Childish Gambino. So.
I don't know much about Childish Gambino, but I did see that they're doing a night. What is it, Coachella? Coachella, I think, and what's the one back here? Governor's Ball.
Oh,
I
nice.
think
Yeah,
so.
the Childish Gambino's, that's Danny Glover's outfit, and it's pretty amazing.
Is it cool?
Yeah, he's an amazing, between acting and music and all that stuff. And his show Atlanta was pretty amazing as well. So cool.
I guess I got to check it out, man. I a few shows back talked about the fact that the lineup for Coachella came out, and aside from like Ariana Grande and recognizing Childish Gambino as a name and whoever else the other headliners, I didn't know anybody. I think the 1975s on that list, I know them. That was it. 5 years ago, I knew everybody, but I don't know anybody now.
That's one of those festivals I really have no desire to do.
Really?
On any
level?
The cool part about doing that one would be working with Dave Rat. Rat does all the sound there. He always brings everything next level.
Yep.
So that would be amazing. I'm just not a cool singster kind of person. I'm 47 years old. So that scene is kind of out of my age range now.
Yep.
So, and the $10 bottle of waters and I'm very, political in the sense that, that promoter gave $150,000 to the GOP and Donald Trump. So it's not my thing.
It's not your cup of tea. Is that hard for you? Does that play in on the road and in different ways and do you let that, prevent you or affect you from taking gigs or doing gigs or working with certain artists or anything like that? If Ted Nugent called you or Kid Rock,
I wouldn't do it. I'm fortunately in where I'm at in my career and how many years, 30 years in and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a matter anymore of, I will work with anybody out of like, oh shit, I need to work. I'll work now because I like the bands. I like what they stand for. I like the music. And anybody who's, I hate to get political right off the bat, but I mean, if you're associated with Donald Trump, I really want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It's for multiple reasons. It's politics, personally, the sexism, the racism, any of that shit. It's just, It's not. For me to go out and mix an artist that would support that, it just means that I'm supporting that and I'm contributing to the problem. And it's just not going to happen.
Let me ask you, because I'm actually interested in this. Sorry, I'm also battling my next round of winter cold. What do you find, or what have you found out there in the last couple of years in terms of crew members, right? Because they might be considered, middle class, lower middle class. I don't know. Do you find, is there a split? Is there an even split between, folks that support what's going on because they buy into it? Or does it seem like the industry in general behind the scenes is a bit more liberal?
As far as crews go out there anymore, it's a lot of the millennial age out there now. The days of the old timers and stuff, we're definitely becoming dinosaurs. There's kids now coming out of audio schools and stuff like that, Expressions, who went in, spent $100,000 coming out, and though a lot more larger corporations owns this, the music business is definitely more business now than music, in the sense that and it's a good and bad thing, I guess. There's a lot more regulations. So the guys, you're not typically working big 20-hour days without regulations and stuff like that. And pricing wise, it's easier to bring some young gun in at $100 a day than it is us oldies who obviously want a little bit more than that and have earned those right. it's kind of I guess a changing of a guard. And I don't know if it's because a lot of the regulations are because it's just kind of that time in time passing in the years that we're just old. We're just old.
Yeah.
A lot of older guys who have had these experiences and been out on the road for so many years don't want to tour as much anymore.
Yeah. But politically, what do you feel the landscape is out there?
I think because of Trump, maybe it's changing a little bit. Like before, people just didn't care about politics. You know, it didn't directly affect them on a day-to-day basis. And now it's blasted in our face. And there's so much like angst and craziness going on that you're kind of just forced to see it. Yeah. And I think, you know, people now are starting to see that and starting to pay attention, starting to understand.
Yeah.
Which is good.
It's great. It's great. But I imagine though, you know, traveling in a tin can, what's that?
I don't see a lot of Trump supporters out there.
Okay.
In the music industry.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, I imagine traveling in a tin can, you know, umpteen thousand miles a year. If you have one or two people on a bus that, or a plane, whatever it is, that don't agree, you know, you have a difference of opinion, and every day this stuff is being jammed down our throats. Like it could get pretty tense out there.
Yeah, it can. Well, I have a zero tolerance on sexism, racism, and violence, you know, to the artists or crew. Zero. I just will not. I mean, there was a post that
Bobnet,
I think you that you even, you know, and on that post it said men only, and I'm starting to see a lot of like men only and women only, and I definitely encourage and really want more females working in the industry. I think that they can do just as well a job as anybody, and if not even better. And I think that's what it needs to come down to, is the merit of what you do. But when I see stuff like men only on a tour, and just a couple other things about that post were a little off, it just makes me. And somebody pointed it out. It's like, what is this, an R. Kelly tour?
Right.
That's kind of what it makes. It goes to.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you know, I think there's a lot of people like you, like-minded people like you, and people that see that it does come down to the merit of your work. And like you said, there's another generation that's coming up right now that I don't think gives a shit about a lot of that stuff. So for a while, they're going to have to break through those barriers. But I would imagine, I would hope in 10, 15 years, it's going to be a different landscape.
Yeah. And
then you and I will be dinosaurs.
Yeah. And it's just, you know, and there's still, you know, I just, like on my tours, and I pointed out with new people right from the bat, zero tolerance. Mm-hmm. If you got a problem with some, you know, person, whether it's their sex or the color of their skin or even religion, you know, I'm not a religious guy at all, but mm-hmm. it's like people should be allowed to have that, you know. Yeah. And I don't need. There's 1,000,001 problems that can happen out on the road, and I don't need ignorance to be one of them.
Right. Exactly. You also happen to travel, though, you know, looking at your resume and the artists that you've worked with and the artists that you spent a lot of time with, because I know like your relationship with the Mother Hips and also Jackie Greene, like you're flying up to see his kid and also like you're in. You're not floating in, you know, or I should say you are floating in a world that is, you know, out of that jam bandy world, right? And leans pretty chill and vibey anyway.
Well, I was fortunate enough that for many, many years, I'm out of the Bay Area. Right. And the San Francisco way is different.
Yeah, it is.
It's very, very, but I also, growing up, I had parents who I love my parents to death. They're amazing. And they were very into music and culture and arts and stuff like that. So they always supported that. I was a 15-year-old kid and I got tickets to go see Pink Floyd, and my mom drove me across town, dropped me off there. I had payphone, called her up after the show, and she would do this all the time. There's awesome. hundreds of shows that, growing up in those years that I went by myself. My parents would drop me off, or my parents would go to shows too. Yeah. And moving forward, when I started owning venues and stuff, one of the major ones and nice ones was this 150 capacity all ages venue. And one of my rules was parents are free. Wow. I encourage parents to come out with their kids to shows. We would get calls to the venue. It was like a coffee shop during the day in this 140 capacity room that was doing Deftones, PJ Harvey, Modest Mouse, these crazy acts in this small venue. And they would go, how safe is this? And I would tell them, I said, I'm a parent too. Come out. Parents are free. Every one of my shows. If you're coming with your kids, the ticket is for the kids. You guys are free. Hang with your kids. See what your kids are doing.
That's so awesome. What was the venue?
It's called the Capitol Garage out of Sacramento.
Okay. And what years was that?
This was 80, let's see, where are we at here? No, 98 to 2007, I think. I can't remember. Somewhere around there.
And you had been on the road prior to that?
On the road a little bit, off and on. It just, just from traveling. Most of the time I never did really long tours. I never had to do long tours. Okay. Just working in different cities. I lived in Philadelphia and back down in Southern California where I was born, and just doing shows out there and stuff. And then I just had an opportunity to go in on this place. And I was like, I'll go in and try it out. And
did you like it?
I absolutely, I loved it. I was thinking about, I don't go back and think about shows that often. It's like, I'm always thinking about the next show. Right. What can I do about the next show? And didn't go back and think about. Last night I found myself lying in bed, thinking about this interview and going back on some of those dates and going back to like the Capitol Garage days and stuff like that, and thinking about different tours and stuff. And Capitol Garage will always have a huge part in my heart. And I still get people to this day who email and go, oh my God, I love this. Because there was no green room. There was a very tiny stage that had tables during the day, and we take them down and we put it up. But there's 140 capacity right across the street from the state capitol. And, the Deftones won a Grammy. I get a call and say, hey, let's announce a show and do a show. And all of a sudden, 20,000 people show up. We have police around and stuff, and they're doing a free show. Or Cake would get ready to go out on tours, and this 140 all ages venue that didn't have had beer and wine, but no hard alcohol, and food. Maroon 5, us trying to load pianos in there. John Mayer, which the recordings are still out there of this. I recorded John Mayer in there. PJ Harvey, Glenn Phillips. I mean, you name it. The Shins. I did everybody in this. It started out as, and I was thinking about this. It started out as like, it's like kind of like a singer-songwriter coffee shop. I was like, no, screw it. Let me make some calls and let me see who I can. And then I don't know where it started. I think it's kind of like, I was kind of thinking of it like, the grunge scene or the summer of '69. You really don't know. I mean, if you go back, you can think, okay, when did this start? You can kind of pinpoint pointed down and winded it in. It was a scene.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden nobody was booked in there. And next thing I know, I'm booked a year out, and I have some of the largest amazing bands, and a lot of it was punk bands too. I'm very into the punk scene. I love the punk mentality, the punk work ethic.
Yep.
There's a guy, Chris Sharuki, who had just passed away. Chris, amazing friend of mine, and that was our thing. It was always like, this person doesn't have a punk rock ethic. Fuck that guy. Fuck. If you don't have the punk rock ethic, then I don't care what kind of, if you're doing punk, hip hop, the Grateful Dead, Sharuki was with the Grateful Dead for many, many years. That punk rock ethic, though, of like, you get in, this is hands on everything. You know, if something's not right, you get in there with your hands and you do the job, and you make the show happen.
Yeah. Is there anything else you can add to the punk rock ethic ethos beside getting in there and making it happen? Fill it out for me.
Punk rock, basically, 3 chords and a fuck you. That was punk rock. But it was always, and I do this to the day, even to this day. It's no matter everybody is the team, whether it's the person who is, you know, taking tickets at the door, the sound person, or the stagehand who's helping load in and load out. I give the same amount of respect to them that I do to my artists. Mm-hmm. And to the fans. Everybody, you know, that punk rock feel is the same with the San Francisco vibe that I grew up with. This is a community, and every person who walks in through that door, and every person involved, whether it's fans or anybody, is contributing to making that show success and fun for everybody and memorable.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this question too. So you may or may not know, I had Pete Shapiro on the show last year.
Pete.
Good dude. And I imagine you've been through many of his venues, right? Whether it's the Capitol or the Wetlands or Brooklyn Bowl or one of the Brooklyn Bowls. And I pressed him on vibe and what vibe is. He talked about creating the right vibe. And if you don't have vibe, you got nothing, basically. Yeah. So staying on the line of the punk rock ethic, which I totally get. Talk to me about creating vibe for you, what that means and how that trickles down.
Vibe.
Because it starts, I don't mean to cut you off, but it can start either with the artist who creates the vibe, or it can start, you know, with someone in your position, or it can start with the venue owner. What makes the right vibe?
I think the right vibe, as far as, let's take Pete as an example, starts just that venue, that environment, making, you know, Pete is all about the show. It's all about everybody having a great time, and that is the priority. So I've had Brooklyn Bowl. Pete does, you know, his advertisements for its show. These very simple block letters. It's not these big elaborate flyers and posters. It's very simple because Pete is like, you know what? This is just telling you. This is not about this poster or this and that. And right. I love posters. I love poster arts. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Just like small things about that. He's like, there's more important things to worry about than spending tons of money on this. Let's make this a fun, and also making it a safe environment, making it so that when you walk in that door, you know that you're not thinking about, okay, this is kind of like, you know, one of the shadiest clubs I've ever been to is the Gilman in San Francisco or Oakland, but Gilman was a punk rock club, and it was like everybody, it was crazy and wild, but you always felt safe there. And even knowing that you're in a crazy kind of like seedy neighborhood and stuff like that, you know, it might be in and out, but once you're in that place, it's like, that's family. You feel connected to that. You feel a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete has this way of connecting his fans and artists and everybody to the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, he listens to me. I see him walking around, talking to people. I was 17 years old, 17 years old. Worked at a radio station in my high school and stuff. And I was calling Bill Graham's office and getting tickets to give away, and they would help me. I was doing interviews with Ronnie James Dio and Brent Bourgeois and people like that. And when I first met Bill, I had already been going to concerts for many years at that point, even way young, even back by my parents. But when I first met Bill, I was at a Grateful Dead concert at Cal Expo. And I had called his office. They knew I was coming out there, and I met him. I would go to concerts by myself all the time. So I went to the Grateful Dead by myself. It was actually, I walked over to Cal Expo at that point because it was just a couple blocks from my house. And met Bill, and he took me around for most of that show. I was walking around with Bill Graham, and he was one of the nicest guys, very intense, but he would go to the front of house. He would go to security. He would go walk up to we'd walk up to the top parts of the outdoor amphitheater to hear how it sounds. I mean, he was a very part of everything. And then at one point we were by a back gate, and there's like a levee across there, and there's people just lined up along the levee because Grateful Dead, it was sold out, smaller venue. And he was like, check this out. Opened up the gate, motioned a couple people to run down, and he was sneaking people into shows. I mean, he was creating this. And at that point, like, I was always into music, but I think at that point, in seeing Bill and what he did, I was like, yeah, this is what I got to do.
Yeah. Was that a turning point in terms of like the deal is sealed now, I got to join this business?
It definitely solidified it for sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I'd always been like into music, but like seeing somebody so passionate like that. And I see now what I saw in Bill back then, I see in Pete.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pete, GD50 shows, he was we were backstage. He was out in the audience. He was everywhere. And one of the things is, I see Pete doing that Bill did, and that I try to do too, is constantly, every time he comes up to somebody, no matter who it is whether working or fan, is, are you having a good time?
Yeah.
You having fun? It is that important to them that everybody is enjoying themselves.
Yeah. Going back to Bill Graham for a sec, I think Bill Graham's book, Bill Graham Presents, was one of the first books about the industry I ever read back in like 94 or something like that. I still have it, big old hardcover, dusty thing. And I was like, oh man, I wish I could meet this guy or had the chance or whatever. And I got that in my interview with Pete, definitely, that he's channeling that. And I told him this, I've seen him around like at the Capitol Theater a couple times. And the thing that got me about that guy, man, is like he got out of his car and immediately he was shaking hands with people. Everybody, like we were back, at the load in at the Capitol. I think it was for Tedeschi Truck Show. And he, came up to me, shook my hand, and he, everybody waiting on line, like the security dude. Then at the night, during the show, he was back at the bar drinking with some people. And then at the end of the show, he was like one of the last people to leave that place, sign a few autographs, in the car, and he was gone. And I was so struck by that because, again, that sets the tone for the place, who he is, who he wants you to be, the experience he wants you to have. And that's important, especially in today's environment where bad things can happen at clubs, right? At the drop of a hat. It creates a safe space.
And I'd known Pete. Yeah, I'd known Pete for a while, through Jackie Greene and the Dead Camp and stuff like that. I picked up a new artist at the time, Nikki Bloom and the Gramblers. So they were just their van sessions had just come out, and I knew Nikki through Tim and the San Francisco area. Then they were like, we need a team, we need a front of house. We're starting to do bigger shows. This is blowing up quick. So Another Planet was managing them at the time, and I was like, yeah, dude, this is going to be fun. I love breakout artists. So we had a Brooklyn Bowl date. Was it 2 days? Just shy of 2 days before the date gets pulled because Guns N' Roses needs to rehearse. Pete felt bad. This is a no. Nikki, we were supporting. I couldn't even tell you who we were supporting. I can't even remember. But Pete felt bad. He was like, this is Guns N' Roses. This happens. This happens sometimes in this industry. It's like, they need the club for a week. They got to rehearse. They're going out on tour. Just happens to be at this time. Pete goes, I'm going to put you guys at the Capitol Theater for a free show, and let's promote the shit out of it. It's a no name, like just starting out band, and he's like, it meant so much to him not to like hurt and to keep this feel going. He's like, okay, let's put this at the Capitol Theater. It's a free show, and it turned out to be an amazing show.
Wow. So wait, Guns N' Roses rehearsed at the Brooklyn Bowl for a week? Yep.
They brought in the semi. As almost a week, 4 days or something like that.
I mean, again, I guess, for them, like, yeah, it's a vibe to be in there as opposed to like an SIR kind of a place or something else, but they couldn't find any other place. They got nothing else. I mean, that's weird.
I have no idea. Yeah. I remember me being a smart ass at the time, and Axl was probably, 20 feet from me. Semis were in, and I'm talking to Pete. And I was like, come on, Pete. It's Axl Cornrows.
How'd that go?
He's like, come on. He just gave me shit. I was like, well, this is my artist at the time. I don't care if this is who. I'm all about, when I'm on the road, I'm 24/7. This is my artist, then I need to take care of my artist 24/7.
Yeah, man. Let's go back. So you were born in Southern California?
Orange County.
Orange County.
Yeah.
And how long did you live down there? Big family?
I got 3 brothers and a sister. We lived down there. My dad was military at the time, Marine Recon.
Wow.
We lived down there for, God, I think I was till I was about 8, and then we moved up to Northern California where my dad had gone to high school and grown up and stuff. And my grandparents who owned a business there. So we moved back up there and then we moved to Hawthorne and Gabbs, Nevada. My dad took over mines for some reason. He was like, I can do this, so for like 4 years, and then back to the Sacramento area during my high school.
I love that he's a Marine Recon at that. And open to just letting you go hang out at Grateful Dead shows by yourself.
My dad is, both my parents, is an amazing person. He's highly decorated. He's got a Silver Star medal, 27 other medals, highly, highly decorated.
Wow.
But when you meet him, and my grandfather was the same way, they're Danish, Denmark. They're these huge, tall, Viking-looking people, but they're the nicest people. My dad writes poetry.
Is he really?
Him and my mom have books of poetry. My dad is the kind of person who found a dog, came home late from work one day with a dog that was bandaged up. He's like, it had walked in hot tar. It was a stray dog. He's like, we just spent $500 to have it checked and fixed and stuff. He had no idea whose dog this was. Searched and found out whose dog it was and got it back and never asked for a dime. I mean, he was that kind of person. He always encouraged everybody, us kids, to do whatever we want. If we enjoy something, then do it. But there was no pressure from them on any of that.
There was no pressure to serve your country, join the Marines, Army, nothing like that. No.
No, nothing.
Was there the pressure, find something you love, do it, but be the best at it? You know what I mean? Like do it to the nth degree.
It was definitely, if you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's just this, don't try to half-ass anything.
Yeah.
But it was never in a way of like that you felt so much pressure that you had to do that.
Right.
I'm very OCD, so for me that was easier because, you know, if it's easier now with these cell phones that if there's something that comes in my head, I can look it up and know exactly how this works or what that does.
Yeah.
Before, when I was younger, I had library, so I was like, okay, why is this or that? I would have to go to the library because it would be stuck in my head and I'd have to research it until the time. So in that sense, it was always do the best of which and learn as much as you can. So going into this industry, I'm a tour manager. I'm a sound engineer. I've been a promoter. I've been a booking agent for bands. I've got my guard cards and learned security. I learned everything but lighting. I absolutely cannot do lighting, and I know that for 100% sure. But I've learned every level of this industry, you know. And my girlfriend has a 19-year-old daughter who's thinking about getting into this industry. She's very into music. She goes to college out in Maine. And one of the things, you know, when we were talking to her, it's like, you know, go intern with this catering company, intern here, learn as much as you can, because the more you know, it's going to benefit you and who you work for and everything else. It's, you know, and, you know, I've been doing sound for, I don't know how long, a long time. Sound is always my first passion.
Uh-huh.
But there's other parts of this job, like I would have never, like if I only stuck with sound, I would have never learned that. Oddly, I love contracts and numbers. So the tour managing part, like I love like doing the budgets and doing that and putting that together. If I didn't branch out and try to learn as much as I could in this industry, I would have never known about that.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because that was my next sort of segue or question was, you have worn a lot of different hats. By the way, is that the dog who had some problems right there?
Yeah, that's Bowie right there.
What's up, Bowie? What kind of dog is Bowie?
Bowie is, we think he's a long-haired Chihuahua and a King Charles. When we got him, they told him he was a Malshi or something, some hypoallergenic. He's not. Now he's just like a feisty, we're definitely Chihuahua.
Yeah, as I say, he looks like a Chihuahua. So my Chihuahua, Riley, is he's curled up in such a tight ball in his little bed over here. I don't want to disturb him, otherwise I'd show him to you. He's a brown, long-haired Chihuahua. Good little dude, 13 years old. Still cranking along.
He's my newest baby.
Yeah. So that was going to be my question, right? Was like, of all these things that you've done, sound, owned a club, booking, tour managing, where are you most comfortable? Or is there one of those that you're like, you know, that you'd rather lean toward?
The most, I mean, hands down, audio. The 2 hours that I'm behind that console,
yeah,
for a show is I guess the only other is where I can breathe, where my body is in full zen, and I'm you know, I hate crowds, but I can be behind that console.
Right.
You know, whether it's 100 people or 40,000, 50,000, whatever at a festival, I'm not nervous. That is the only place that I don't second guess myself.
Wow. Oh shit.
It's the console is just an extension of me. But that's not to say that I don't love every other aspect of this job. You
right.
know? It's just that is the one that it's like, is just, that connection. I have the connection with the band. I have the connection with the audience. You know what I'm doing, and I'm not a producer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's when I'm. It's weird in the sense that I love being alone. I love traveling alone. A lot of tours I travel, I drive across the country. I do everything alone. But when I'm at that console, I absolutely love the connection with everyone.
Yeah. Well, you're sort of tangibly in connection with them, right? Because you've got your hands on the mission control board, driving their experience as well. So I could see that.
The audience drives me more than anything. The band, when the audience drives me. I mean, if I see the audience moving and jumping and building, I'm mixing to that audience, and in turn the band is building up, and it's this whole circle of like once it's like it's a snake chasing its tail, and at that moment that snake bites down on that tail and completes that circle, and during that show is an incredible feeling. That's my drug. That's my only drug I take. is that moment, that high at that moment.
You've had long runs with a lot of these artists, like I mentioned, the Mother Hips, and sounds like a while with Jackie.
7 years with Jackie.
7 years with Jackie. What do you think? I'm going to ask you a two-parter. One, I appreciated your resume and its creativity. That was awesome.
That's all my girlfriend. She's a graphic designer. She looked at I never had resumes before. I was like, just word of mouth and talk. It's like, no, you got to have a resume and you got to make it good. And she designed and built that resume, and she did an amazing job.
So cool. It's so great, man. And your list of, your references and the quotes that you put in there are great. It's now become fun for me when I ask guests, like, hey, send me your bio and resume to see what I get. Because some people just give you kind of the standard thing, and other people, like, one woman, she had pie charts that showed like, I do monitors more than I do front of house or this and that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. And yours was like a fucking comic book. It was fantastic. So my question is, you've had these long relationships, you've done a lot of different things with people. What do you think attributes with these bands that you've been with for a long time? What do you think? Why have you been able to have such a tenure with them? And also, conversely, what sets you apart? Right? If I got a stack of resumes, I'm getting ready to start a tour. It's not men only. It's not only Trump supporters, right? But what sets you apart? So the first one is, why do you think you can last so long with an artist?
Why I could last so long with an artist? I think it's not going to be with every artist. It's just those artists you connect. Mm-hmm. There's that connection, and that connection to be with artists that long has nothing to do with music. It has to do with the conversations on a bus, or at a cafe, in a restaurant, or calling up and saying, hey, how's your day going? What's up? You want to go here and see that? It has nothing to do with music. You have to be connected on a personal level. We are incredibly, incredibly lucky to do what we do. I'm grateful for it every single day. So you need to have that, but that is our job. I mean, I hate to, I tell people, this is fun what we do and this is amazing what we do, but at the end of the day, it pays the bills. It puts food on my family's plate. And so I'm just incredibly lucky to do the job that I have. Mm-hmm. So the music side of it is like, not so much. It's that personal connection. It's that liking the person for who they are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the long-term relationships come in.
Yep. Even if you didn't like the music?
If I didn't like There's no music that I don't like.
Okay.
The people go, oh, would you work with country? I was like, I'll work with anybody as long as they're going 150% and have passion and love. Doesn't matter what the music is, it's still good because that feeling is there. What they are doing is amazing.
Yep.
So the music is, I mean, I love music. I listen to a lot of music. I mean, the only thing I have is a turntable. I don't even have this hi-fi stereo system in my house. I listen to talk radio a lot of times in the car, but music is the music. The artist music, when working with an artist, is more than just what's being played on the stage. It's how much. It's like you can tell the ones. It's like their soul went into every bit of this.
Yeah.
They're and then you get into the artist who's like, you see an amazing show and the audience loves it and it was like the greatest show ever, and you walk back from the console to the back room and your artist says, fuck, that was the worst. Fuck, dude, I had the worst time out there. It's because they missed 2 chords throughout the show or something very minute that nobody will ever know but them, but there's so much passion into what they're doing. So I mean, so the music is secondary in that sense when it comes to artist relations.
Yeah.
It's the day-to-day, the actual.
And then conversely, if I got stacks of resumes looking to hire somebody, I got yours in front of me, what sets you apart from his and hers?
The first thing I always tell artists, I mean, there's a lot of people who can do what I do. I don't kid myself about that. I have amazing passion for what I do, and I'm always going to be 24/7. It's never like if I'm with an artist, it's never. If we're not working, there's something about that that's working, but it has to be a personal connection. So I always tell every artist I've ever worked with, who hasn't worked with me before or maybe not seen me, I was like, we'll go in, we'll do the rehearsal, we'll do the first show. If we're not clicking, I'm paying for my own flight home. Find somebody who clicks with you. I said, anybody can, but not anybody, but a lot of people can have the skills. But if you're not clicking on that personal level, we're going to have to be in buses, in planes, in vans. We're going to have to be around each other 24/7. And if we're not clicking, who gives a shit how good I am? I'm good at what I do, but that's not going to matter.
Have you ever bought that ticket?
Never bought the ticket. Never bought that ticket. But I have no problems buying that ticket, but I've never bought the ticket.
Yeah. You ever been fired?
I have been fired.
You have?
Uh-huh.
Was that hard? Was that hard?
No, because it was like the let's see how many times, two times that I have been fired. It needed it. I deserved it.
Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way at the time, or did it take a little time to heal and then?
No,
not heal. Maybe lick your wound. Maybe.
I felt that way at the time. I felt that way of like, you know what? This needed to happen. And for reasons, there was just all kinds of things that connected that. It was like, this is time.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, twice I've been fired.
Yeah.
And I still have great relationships with those artists.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that's is like, this is business, and I understand that. I understand that sometimes things just need to move forward. Things just need to move on and evolve and grow how they organically and naturally. And if it's come to a point that I need to go, then there's a reason I need to go. And that's just how it has to be.
I know that those 2 hours when you're mixing a show, you're the most comfortable. You can breathe, as you said, which is pretty powerful. I know that you're not a religious guy, but you also mentioned that when you're mixing, that's when you are your most zen.
I study Buddhism.
Yeah.
I don't practice Buddhism.
Yeah.
And I have for the last few years. And it's about a way of thought, a way of how you move forward in your life and how you do things, and everything is connected and interacting. So that when I say I breathe, and I actually have I have these things that go on my console every night.
You see, are you reading my fucking notes, dude? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I wanted to know. So what does Charles do on the road to bring it all together, to get through the day?
I have this pouch, and it has these crystals, Palo Santo, and a candle. And each day, whether it's a one-off tour, whatever, I pull them out. I set them up they go up on my console. I burn my Palo Santo, and I'm just like, to a great show, great night, have fun. And I light my candle, and to love, happiness, have fun. Everything always ends with have fun. It was like, if you're not having fun, this is not worth it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I have a necklace and a wristband that I wear on every show. And there's been times that I've flown out in a rush and my bracelet gets left here at home. And I have to have my girlfriend FedEx this thing out to the next day. There's been times that I was like, shit, we can't get it. It can't get here. I was like, put it on, take a picture, and send it to me. And I put my phone with that bracelet on her arm on my console so I can see that bracelet right there.
That's fucking epic, dude. What's the story behind the bracelet?
It was one of the first gifts that she gave me.
I thought you said Jerry gave it to you.
Years ago. And I just have to have it.
Yeah.
And that the thing is I'm very OCD. So
right. I forgot about that part.
And stuff. So there's that whole aspect of it too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've literally had her. I'm like, put it on, send me a picture, and I turn my phone on, have that picture sitting there, and have that screen up the whole show.
Wow. That's pretty good, man. What about throughout the day? Are you a meditator at all? Do you these tours get long and you got to take care of yourself. Do you do anything, other things? Do you like to go for walks, stuff like that?
It depends on, I guess, the time. I mean, the one thing is when you're touring, there's so much that's not consistent. And my thing is that I need some consistent thing every day to ground me and to kind of like start me. And it's Starbucks for me. Starbucks iced coffee. I have to have that every morning. That I drink my one iced coffee every day. It's not the greatest. People go, oh my God, there's all these. You owned a coffee shop. You know about coffee. It has nothing to do about being the greatest coffee in the world or the worst coffee in the world. I know that no matter where I'm at, whether I'm in Denver, San Francisco, New York, Puerto Rico, wherever I'm at, and I walk into Starbucks, it's going to be the same consistent thing. It's that one consistency I have on the road every day.
So how will you send a runner out to get that for you in the morning?
I like to go.
You try to break out and find a near Starbucks.
I've had tour bus drivers. I have great relationships with tour bus drivers who know that when I do my tour schedules, everything is out, planned pretty well, and they know. So if they're making a stop in like a gas stop, or we're coming into a venue or something, I've had drivers get me my coffee, and when I wake up in the morning, it's there.
I like it. I like it, man. There it is, right there. There it was.
So the Starbucks is definitely that iced coffee is my big thing. I do like to. I'm as much time as I can spend by myself. I try to. Touring. A lot of times, artists, like if we start a tour, say we start a tour back east or something like that, I will take a truck, have all the gear loaded up, meet up with buses or meet up with the tours. I will drive across the country by myself. I don't turn the radio on. I sit there in silence for days.
Wow. What do you think
looking
about?
Whatever pops in your
Just
head.
life, yeah. Just being in the moment.
Yeah. And usually those by the time I hit the ground running, dude, I've had 2 or 3 days of peace, quiet. No, a lot of times I don't even talk unless it's my girlfriend calling me, or sometimes I'm just working things out in my head. There was an amazing guy, Blake Beeman, Crystal Bay, sound engineer, a guy that ran Crystal Bay, who would know that I'm on these long runs or these drives, and it was like he knew, and he would call me up, and we would talk for a couple hours, just working. Tell me about the tour. Tell me about your life. Tell me about this, and so I like those times alone. But then there's other times where I did a tour, and my girlfriend was out on merch on this tour. It was with Jackie Greene. She'd never been to a museum. I was like, what? I grew up. My parents took me. What do you mean you've never been to a museum? I was like, fuck that. We're gonna change that. So I booked this tour, and every town we went in, I had made sure that there was a museum close by it. You're gonna go see a museum. You're gonna see art. Band members, hey, anybody? This is what we're gonna do. This is the summer of art, of culture.
That's so awesome.
So I guess it just depends on the mood. I get very in my head on tour, as everybody. So it's just trying to find that balance of like being happy and not losing your shit. It's a very thin line.
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. Who else was a mentor along the way for you?
Mentors along the way for me have been Chris Sharuki, huge one. Brian Farmer was an amazing, who was with Warren Haynes for many, many years. Willie Nelson, Brian. Peter Banton was a tour manager. Peter showed me. And Blake. I mean, they all had like their certain, like, Peter as a tour manager showed me how to never let them see you sweat. How you can always be under any situation. You can be calm like this. Whether I don't care if your stage is blowing up and everything is going to shit. You need to be calm. And Peter was an amazing. The crazy thing is that all 4 of those guys have passed away at this point.
Right.
And Shruki showed me how to be under no matter what, to just be honest. Say whatever's on your mind. Just be honest and just be true. And Farmer was another one of those guys. It was just like, it was like some of the stuff that came out of their mouth. I was like, what? And, we were at the Paramount Theater in Denver. It was Bob Weir, Jackie Greene duo tour. My girlfriend had never. She's a huge Grateful Dead fan. She grew up in the Bay Area as well, so it's just like walking into this experience, and it was already like aha. And Sharuki had found her in the back entrance, like waiting, and she was like, and the guys knew that she was coming, and I wasn't living in Denver at the time, so we knew we were in Smithtown. So Sharuki had grabbed her and walked up and walked her in, and he's like, and rather than say, "Hey Charles, Mindy's here," he goes, "Hey Charles, the doctor called your pee-pee medicines in." She had never met Sharuki. and this was the first thing out of her mouth. And it was like, and she has an absolute love for Sharuki. It was like that moment. It's like that connection of like, it's like, sometimes hellos are nice, but sometimes you just got to tell them that their pee-pee medicine's in.
I'm going to ask you one last thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you could go back to the moment, oh, look at that. Here's the guy calling to tell me how much my car is going to be to fix this month. That's great. If you could go back to that moment with Bill Graham and find yourself after you've left Bill Graham, what would you say to that kid? What would you say to that young Charles? By the way, so Twilling's Danish?
Yeah. I'm the only male under 6 feet tall in my family history.
By the way, great name, Charles Twilling. I'm surprised you're not a novelist.
Charles Michael Twilling.
Charles Michael Twilling. I love it. So yeah, what would you say to young Charles Michael Twilling, who's now stood with the great Bill Graham and witnessed how to be and decided, solidified in your mind that this is what you want to do? What would you say to that kid?
Probably the same thing I'd say to everybody. You having fun? I mean, that's always my go-to. Is I always want to make sure people are having a good time, having a good experience.
Nice.
You know, I don't. You know, that's the whole like go back in time kind of thing and stuff. And I don't think I would ever. I never want to change anything about anything. So like saying anything other than that, I think would change that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to say or do anything alter it because I would change the life that I've had. So my only thing is, are you having fun? That's all. At the end of the day, that's all I really care about, is that everybody's having fun. The artists, the fans, the crew. Dude, we're in the music industry. Let's have some fun.
Right. Cool, man. I really appreciate you being on the show. And
thank you. It's a pleasure.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, dude. I'll see you out there. Charles, man, thank you so much for being on the show this week. Guys, stay tuned next week, episode 120. I've got Norman's Rare Guitars' very own Mark Agnesi going to be on the show talking with us. You can follow us at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify, all as Roadie Free Radio. Check out the website, roadiefreeradio.com. Send me a note, because you know I want to hear from you. That's info@roadiefreeradio.com. And my friends, in the meantime, be cool and be safe out there. No rock and roll. Hey guys, I just want to say thanks so much for tuning in week after week. It really means a lot to me. Also, if you could head over to the iTunes store, drop me a review or a rating, that would be greatly appreciated as well, to let people know about this amazing show and the stories that we're bringing out week after week.